Experience!
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, the Week 13 NFL cheat sheet. If you want the actual cheat sheet form, you got to sub to the Mayo Media newsletter. That'll be available for free in your inbox on Saturday evening. You can also check out the full updated rankings and injury list up at 4for4.com right now. That direct link also down in the description of this video and podcast. Smash like, sub to the channel, turn on them notifications because we're going live Sunday evening at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, just after the conclusion of the late games before Sunday Night Football. Emerson's back this week on the line with me and Cust in the studio and a special guest viewer picker, one of you out there joining the show. So thanks for doing all that. Hope you had a very happy Thanksgiving. Everything went well, and I'm here trying to keep you as little time as possible in order to get you caught up on what's actually happening on Sunday and what you need to know. Running back injuries to start everything off. Marion Hampton was activated off of injured reserve, yet he is not playing this week for the Chargers against the Raiders. Kamani Vidal getting the full go in the backfield for the Chargers coming off the bye week. Alvin Kamara is out for the New Orleans Saints in Miami. Dinosaur Neal, a.k.a. Devin Neal, ends up with the start here. Who's going to back him up? Well, we'll see. How many times are those guys going to touch the ball? This, we do not know. Probably more Taysom Hill than anything, but Devin Neal, a pretty good play. Not a great play, a good play this week if you need a backup running back or a running back 2 flex option. It's pretty good. Trey Benson is out for the Cardinals. Amari DiMercado is out for the Cardinals. This is at Tampa Bay. That means you're going to get Bam Knight with a Michael Carter chaser. Here's the interesting thing, though. Bam Knight has popped up on the injury report with a new knee injury as of Thursday. So he is still technically questionable to play in this game. It does seem like he's trending towards playing, but if he gets banged up on the first few goes against a very good run defense in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, could be curtains for him. So maybe some Michael Carter over receptions, under Bam Knight yardage, if that's the way that you want to play this one. Of note as well, the Sharp Stack tool that I always use on this, that includes the betting, daily fantasy, but all those different levels have huge discounts until December 1st at 4for4.com. You go to 4for4.com/Mayo. It'll get you to the price list right now. If you use code Mayo at SharpStack, you get $400 off SharpStack on the annual plan. So it goes from, I believe it's 800 down to 400, and then code Mayo gets you another 25% off, which is another $100. Lock yourself in right now, honest to God. $300 for the entire year for SharpStack and every tool that 4for4 has. Something you're going to want to do. 4for4.com/Mayo, code Mayo gets that done for you. Bucky Irvin is leaning in, although coach speak is saying that he's going to have first crack at the hot hand against Arizona, but then Rachaad White and Sean Tucker are still going to be mixed in. I have no idea how this backfield ends up shaking down. If you want to go unders on them all, that makes sense. Try to pick the two that are going to do poorly and not touch the ball, go under. Bucky Irving's the best start of the bunch because he is the best player. In my mind, it's going to be Irving. We have the top running backs. So you have Irving at 16 or 17. If he's back and you don't have better options, you're playing him. Then Sean Tucker is kind of close. Then Rachaad White pretty far behind that if they are actually going to do a 3-headed rotation in the backfield. Ashton Genty is leaning in for the Raiders against the Chargers. Looks like he's going to play. Jerome Ford popped up with a hamstring injury in this awful weather game. More on the weather a little bit later on. That he might now not go in the Cleveland backfield, which would make it a complete split between Isaiah Pacheco. No, that's not going to be right. That's Kansas City. My mind is still beat up from Thanksgiving. God forbid you bear with me on this one. Judkins, main back, over rushing attempts, bad weather game. They're going to run the ball a ton anyway, but Dylan Sampson might get some extra run on passing downs as well. We did see that a little bit last week against the Raiders as well. Wide receiver injuries. T. Higgins obviously did not play on Thursday Night Football. Drake London, he's not going to play on Sunday against the Jets. He's out. Garrett Wilson is out. Noah Brown in Sunday Night Football for the Washington Commanders is not going to be activated off injured reserve. He is not going to play. Although Terry McLaurin is now going to play in this game. So you're going to have Mariota with Debo and McLaurin. Jalen Lane is going to be back for this contest as well. It looks like Jaden Daniels could be back next week in week 14. Although against this Broncos defense with Surtain back as well as off the injury report, not really great starts. Tutu Atwell has been fully practicing all week. He is off the injured reserve. The last thing that needs to happen for him is to actually be fully activated off of injured reserve. Looks like that's going to happen, so he'll probably be back in for the Rams. Brian Thomas has been extracted from the injury report, so he is playing against the Titans for the Jags this week. Marvin Harrison was one that was pretty interesting because he was practicing in a limited capacity. Rumors are that he is going to play for the Cardinals this week. Terrible news for Michael Wilson, as he gets thrust back into that wide receiver 2, aka the third option in the passing offense for the Cardinals. Although it is a very good matchup. The secondary for the Bucs is like middle of the road, slightly below average. The run defense is top 5 in the league. So it is a pass funnel offense. There's enough for McBride and then Harrison and then Michael Wilson to go around. If Harrison is active, I would play Harrison over Wilson, although both remain inside the top 30 at wide receiver this week. Keep an eye on Chris Olave in this game against the Dolphins. Obviously, we know Kamara is out. Neal is starting. Olave has had back spasms all week. It seems like he's going to play, but back is weird. Last second, just keep an eye on that one. If he's playing, you are playing Olave for sure. If not, it's like Mason Tipton. You don't want to go down that road. Alec Eomanor is leaning out with his hamstring injury, which means DK is probably going to be the man once again. Although, how many Titans do you really want to start? If the answer is above 0, your team is probably not very good. Eomanor could play, but right now he is leaning out. I wouldn't play him even if he played anyway. Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden obviously both missed the game on Thanksgiving for the Packers, and Amon-Ra St. Brown avoided the dreaded high ankle sprain on Thanksgiving. He has a low ankle sprain, although he is not expected to play on Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys. So I guess like Tom Kennedy is the best receiver in the league. I suppose that's what we found out on Thursday. Noah Gray missed the game on Thursday for the Kansas City Chiefs with a concussion, and Michael Mayer will do the same this week for Vegas against the Chargers. So obviously a ton of Brock Bowers, but Ian Thomas should probably get some extra run in this game if his overs are low enough, like 10.5 yards, 1.5 receptions, 0.5 receptions. I'd be looking in that direction if you wanted a really easy play for the week. It does seem like Chigo Kongwo is going to play for the Titans, although he did pop up on the injury report. Hunter Long is going to be back for the Jags, but Brenton Strange is back, so he doesn't really mean anything. Keep an eye on Darren Waller, who has a chance to play against the Saints. It's an early game. I don't know if you necessarily want to thrust him back in right away, but with the state of tight end right now, if you do need a touchdown or bust type of guy, if he is active, you could play him. He's a better option than Greg Dulcich, who I guess if Darren Waller doesn't play is also sort of a Hail Mary option. Dalton Kincaid still has this hamstring injury. He's been practicing in a limited capacity. We still have no idea whether or not he's going to go at Pittsburgh for the Bills this week. So keep an eye on the injury report of the actives and inactives at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. QB injuries. JJ McCarthy is out of here for the Minnesota Vikings. Broseph is going to start. Brosmer will get the go. 11.5-point underdogs in Seattle. Daniel Jones is playing for the Colts, even with the cracked fibula. CJ Stroud is back this week for the Tennessee Titans against the Colts. Jackson Dart is playing on Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers is expected to play against the Buffalo Bills. Baker Mayfield is trending in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, even with like a blown out non-throwing shoulder. And Jaden Daniels, as mentioned, is out, but is leaning towards week 14 return to the Washington lineup and maybe your fantasy lineups if you're still alive and you have enough trust that he's actually going to be healthy enough to actually do fantasy damage. Who knows? We'll find out more about that next week, I suppose. Stay tuned. We got some props, we got some weather, some DFS, everything else you need to know. Stay right here. Look, I keep telling you about Omaha Steaks, and not every single person has got Omaha Steaks yet, so rectify that now, because they are the official sponsor of tailgating. But in the Pat Mayo household, Omaha Steaks is the official sponsor of the holiday season, because I got guests coming over, and they like meat, whether it be steaks, burger, deli-style franks. All the heavy hitters are coming in that cooler, which is so glorious to crack open, easy to make, throw it on the grill out back, and you're going to be set up, no running to the grocery store, and you actually have food that people want to eat when they come over to your house. Shipped right to your front door. There's no off-season for flavor with these guys. Make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating. Visit omahasteaks.com and get $35 off with promo code MAYO at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code MAYO at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Ever get one of those scam texts that's so weird you almost respect the creativity? Like last week I got one that said, limited edition hover goat. No link click, but hey, it's points for originality, I suppose. And I was interested in a limited edition hover goat, I'm not gonna lie to you. I then Googled it. Turns out, not a real thing. Luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card. So you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly, right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real. Just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code, SECURE10, in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right in your account.
Terms apply. That's money, that's Cash App. Cash App is a financial service platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debt cards issued by Sutton Bank. Member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
Let's jump over to Underdog to see some of my favorite plays of the week. Code Mayo at Underdog right now will get you a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 and a $5 play. We'll turn that instantly into a $100 bonus of fantasy bucks in your account. That's the way that you want to go. I just kind of played some of my favorites of the week. Alec Pierce, longest reception. Ashton Genty, lower rushing yards. Tony Pollard, lower rushing yards. I play these every single week, and they hit far more often than not. I did throw on A.D. Mitchell as well as a part of this, higher than 37.5 receiving yards. Probably of worth noting. I should probably go over the weather here for a second anyway. So the biggest weather concerns this week as we're going through everything, the biggest one is in Cleveland. I mean, that's a low total game anyway, only 35. Of note, the weather is factored into the over-unders. You don't have to take guys down even more in terms of projections just because the weather is bad in some of these games. That's factored in already to the projections, but I do have like a same game or for that one that I do like of a bunch of unders and potentially overs in some spot, but I would not expect a ton of scoring. Purdy's been bad outside anyway. Cleveland's D has been the best in the league at home, so don't expect a ton of scoring. A lot of running in this game with temperatures right around freezing, a lot of wind and precipitation. The Jets are getting some rain as well. Not a lot of wind, but rain and close to freezing temperatures. Pittsburgh, kind of the same as the Jets in the same spot. Washington, late on Sunday evening, just seems like it's going to be absolutely frigid. And then it'll be below freezing for Monday Night Football for that New England game. It's that time of year where all things being equal, and you do have a bad weather game versus a dome game, just take the dome game, take the better weather game, then weird stuff just won't pop up out of nowhere. If it's a coin flip situation, go with the better weather over anything else. Just want to throw that out there before we keep on going with some of these underdog picks. So these are some of my favorite props of the week. Where is this one? This was a fun one because you can do this on Underdog now where you can play different versions of the same player and throw them all into one. There's also a 30 and 60% boost, profit boost in the Underdog lobby right now if you use code Mayo, so you can check that out. So I have Christian McCaffrey in that game lower than 69.5 rushing yards. Cleveland, the best run defense in the league. But I also have Christian McCaffrey higher than 18.5 rushing attempts because I think they're going to pound it. Cleveland's going to know it's coming. So it's all on McCaffrey to do this on the ground. I also like him over 4.5 receptions, but I just kept these two the same. Cam Ward's another one. I love Cam Ward over rushing yards. Since Mike McCoy ended up becoming the OC, they've started to really dramatically increase the amount of running Cam Ward is doing. It was as low as 8.5 early in the week. I just played this one about an hour ago. It's still at 12.5 right now. I still like the higher on those rushing yards. And Cam Ward higher than 33.5 passing attempts. If they do get behind in this game, which they are projected to do as 6-point underdogs in this spot against the Jags, he has gone over this number in 6 of 7 matchups. We're just seeing more Cam Ward develop as the season goes along, and that kind of coincides kind of perfectly with the Tony Pollard unders as well. You can see earlier on in the week, these were some of the ones I played. Cam Ward higher than 8.5 rushing yards. McCaffrey lower than 68.5 rushing yards. So that one went up. It's a bad number. The Cam Ward number's 66% better than it was, or worse than it was like 3 days ago. Tyler Lockett higher than 28.5 receiving yards. Keenan Allen lower than 40.5 receiving yards. Keenan Allen has gone under this number in essentially every game that Oronde Gadsden has been playing. The Gadsden numbers have come at the expense of Keenan Allen. What are some other things that I've done this week? This was the same gamer that I did. Brock Purdy, lower than 207 passing yards. Quinshon Judkins, higher than 18.5 rushing attempts. And Christian McCaffrey, higher than 4.5 receptions. That's not like a really super high payout, but it is almost 6 to 1, 5.76 to 1 on that front. I think that's all I got going on for the moment. I got one other one. There's a college football one that I played today, thanks to my good pals at SharpStack. So let's jump over to SharpStack and see what's going on. As I mentioned before, you can get you can really get $500 off. It's $400 off if you don't use code Mayo. But if you go to 4for4.com/Mayo, select the annual and the $400 off for SharpStack, then you can get yourself another $100 off, or as we like to call it, 25% off more using code Mayo. You can see right here, if you go to the plans at 4for4, it's regular $7.99 down to $3.99, and then code Mayo will take off another 25%. And that applies for everything. You'll want the SharpStack if you get the betting tool, but you can just get the DFS tool for $644. It's like 93% off right now until December. That's Optimizer, that's Cash and GPP picks, floor ceiling, all the content, everything that's in the pro version if you want to take that. So $644 for all your tools the rest of the season, plus code Mayo will get you another 25% off. Highly recommend that you do that, all right? Let's get away from NBA, although we'll be playing some NBA a little bit later on tonight. We'll go to NFL only and see what the best plays are right now. Obviously, these update in real time. You can see this one was released less than a minute ago in real time. And you can always go to the odds screen, the prop screen, game by game. You can find your best ARBs of the week. Oh, it was actually a really good ARB, almost 5% ARB. So if your default stake was $100, you had $100 to wager, you could lock yourself in almost $5 of profit by betting either side of the Geno Smith rushing attempts. Over 2.5 plus 145 at BetMGM, under 2.5 minus 120 at Profit X is the best on the board right now. Again, this always updates in real time, so you can figure that all out. There's some middles as well this week. Not a ton, although it's EV on each side of the Devin Neal over rushing yards at BetMGM at minus 110. And then Pinnacle has 37.5, the under at plus 116. So it's an EV wager on both sides to get that middle if that's the route that you wanted to go. I'll just stick with the EV tool and see what's paying the best right now in terms of overall best moves. Kyron Williams rushing yards under 69.5. I actually hate that one, but it's what the computer is telling me. It's one of the better EV plays of the week. Carolina's run defense has been decimated over the past 3 weeks, and now they have no secondary as well. That if they just jump out by a ton here, maybe you get lucky and it's still like a quorum split, although we saw less of that. And then we didn't see like a ton of Kyron Williams either on Sunday Night Football. That's game script dependent against a very good Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense. As mentioned before, that Kyron Williams under 69.5, the computer likes it, under 2.5 receptions for Jonathan Taylor against the Texans. Jordan Mason under 31.5 rushing yards against the Seahawks. I actually really like that one. David Sills under 24.5 receiving yards against the Jets. I can get on board with that one too. So Mason under, David Sills under, and then Rachaad White under 18.5. Oh, that's so low. That's so grimy if that's the route that you were going to go. Tez Johnson under receiving yards with a banged up Baker Mayfield or Teddy Bridgewater if it does end up coming down to that. Jaleel McLaughlin over 18.5 rushing yards on Sunday Night Football is an interesting look as well. We did see with J.K. Dobbins out for the year, it wasn't like they just took the keys and threw them to R.J. Harvey. We are going to get some Jaleel McLaughlin. He did end up stealing that touchdown away from Harvey in that game, if we do remember that as well. I wonder if we just do that Jordan Mason, David Sills. Let's see how that looks in the Pick'em game right now. Let's see. Jordan Mason, share this tab. Are we going to get some Jordan Mason in our life? No, of course we're not. They're not going to be that sneaky with us. What about Sills? Can we get some Sills? No Sills either? Nuts. Can't even do it. All right, there's David Sills. David Sills, 24.5 lower. Let's see if we can get some Mason on the go here. Mason Tipton. Jordan Mason is who we're looking for. 30.5 rushing yards. What was the number that they were giving us? 31.5? Yeah, it's still very highly rated. You can boost those up if you want to. Let's go $100 on that. We go 100 pays $350. There's the official play of the show in real time thanks to SharpStack. You win that one, you can basically, with the $100 at Underdog, you can basically buy the SharpStack system for the annual plan and get it for the entire year. David Sills lower than 24.5 receiving yards. Jordan Mason lower than 30.5 rushing yards. Let's jump over to the DFS optimizer at 4for4.com, reload that, and see how it's going. Must be going through an update right now. This is going to be a very lazy DraftKings week if there ever was one. People are going to be relying on sitting on the can and filling out lineups as they wait for lock to happen, or they're going to be utilizing optimizers in all of the content sites. And most of the content sites didn't do a ton of content this week. Squirrel Patrol, John Breslin's going to have all of his stuff up on 4for4. And again, if you want to get access to this optimizer and all of it, $6.44 for the season. And then code Mayo will get you 25% off that. 4for4.com/Mayo. It's a fantastic deal. Like, you might as well do it if you're, even if you're a non-serious DraftKings player or FanDuel player, whatever it is that you do, because you can change everything at the very top of the optimizer right here. You know, change the week, change the slate. If you want Showdown, you can go do that. But I mean, it's going to be like $5 for the rest of the year. This is a great way to learn, actually, even if you're playing the 25-cent or the dime time, whatever it might be. If you want to learn how to play with an optimizer to easily build larger lineups, this is the time to go do that. It's essentially, $5. It's essentially free for the rest of the season. Just remember to use code Mayo, because I'm here telling you all this stuff. So here's what we got for ownership at running back right now. Achane, almost 40%. Breece Hall, 30%. Kamani Vidal without Amarian Hampton in, 21%. Kenneth Walker at 20%. Don't love that. Like, that seems like a spot that you need to get exactly right, and Charbonnet might just steal all of his touchdowns. It's no different than Bijan at 18. Bijan's obviously the better player against probably an easier defense to play against the Jets, although very cold, and you can see this spot that if somehow the touchdowns don't break his way early, that we just might get a lot of Tower Algier in this game. For just pure GPP value, Achane, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Kamani Vidal. Then you have Kyron Williams popping up. He's only 13%. If we take a look at the very top of the salary, I like Devin Neal as a play just because he's cheap, and I always like some of the cheap guys to jam in. We'll take a look at the optimal line because we didn't do the Friday show this week. Like, Judkins is a pretty good play against a bad run defense in a spot where he's probably going to touch the ball 20-plus times, and they are giving him wildcat looks at the goal line and taking Sanders out of the game. See, ETN at 65 is actually a pretty positive value as well. James Cook, one thing about the Steelers, they love going 3 and out, and they actually do concede the most plays against of any team in the league just because they're constantly punting back to you. The James Cook getting very overlooked in the spot at 10% ownership relative to most of the guys around him. Like, yeah, Jonathan Taylor's 10%, but he's also $9,800. It's pretty ridiculous. It's tough to play Taylor or McCaffrey this week. I'd probably fade both of them. And just starting with Achane is so much easier at $8,300 and allows you to do a little bit more. As we scroll down and find the better values, Breece Hall we saw was the second best value because he's at $6,000 in this matchup. Vidal at $5,700. Gainwell, I think, is a really nice play because he's going to get involved in the red zone, breaking off big plays. And the Bills' run defense is terrible. Bam Knight is at a minus value right now at $5,200. There, again, still is a chance he could be declared out, leaving Michael Carter as like the only guy left on the slate. He's super cheap. There's Devin Neal at $5,000, a slightly positive value. Is anyone else a positive value? Algier at 45. Yeah, it's getting pretty thin pretty quickly. The lowest I would go here would be Devin Neal at $5,000. Like, you can play Tony Pollard. That's not going to turn out well for you. So Neal getting the full workload against the Dolphins at $5,000 is likely the route that you want to go. Let's check out the GPP. Actually, no, let's go to cash game lineup, and we'll just build 3 lineups off of that to see what we're looking at. And then, that's for the Sims a little bit later on. So here's what we're seeing right now. We got up to almost 140 in terms of what we're looking at in terms of total points here. Herbert, Hall, Achane with Waddle. It's not correlated at all. Nico Collins, Chris Olave, Colby Parkinson at tight end for the Rams against the Panthers. Aronde Gadsden, so a double tight end shot, Titans defense. You can always go in and change all the parameters that you want to use as well, like the total ownership, the randomness, if you want it strict, you want it loose, you want ceiling projections blended in. It's all there for you. Just remember, if you want to get the cash game, you can change it to single entry. You can change it as well. Back to the ownerships at wide receiver. It's going to be the guys that you know. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Puka, Waddle, 1, 2, 3. Then you got Collins, Buka, Tet McMillan, and Olave. But if we're trying to find like pure GPP value here, all the guys are kind of owned until you get down to DK at 6%. He comes in at $4,400. Alec Pierce at $4,800, still a very positive value despite the tougher matchup. You're just going to see a lot of Waddle, Ted McMillan, Nico Collins builds. That's what we saw in the Optimizer. They're all in the $6,000 range. Then you don't splurge because Puka and JSN are just frankly a lot of money. It's hard to find a lot of value on this slate. But Waddle, McMillan, Collins, and Puka Olave are the top 5 for GPP values on this slate. If you are looking to punt, John Mechie Premier, the third for the Jets, is the best of the low-end values. He's at $3,800, followed very closely by Jaden Higgins at $3,900. So both those guys sub 4,000. The other guys in the 4,000 you could go to Pierce, DK, and Juwan Jennings. Quentin Johnston at $4,900, Tez Johnson at $42,000. They're all in the $4,000 range. If you really wanted to go down, honest to God, if you think that the weather will hold and Tyrod could score some touchdowns, AD Mitchell and Michi are both sub $3,600, and Taylor's super cheap as well. That if you did want to mix in the Jonathan Taylors or the JSNs and Pukas, that would almost be the way that you have to do it this week. At tight end, I'm just going to assume it's Trey McBride because it's always Trey McBride, because it'd be crazy if it wasn't. It's not Trey McBride this week. Trey McBride's 6%. Yeah, he's $7,600. I would still probably splurge, although it is telling us right now that is not the move. Gadsden projects as the best value and the highest owned at 18%. Pitts at 11%. Bowers at $5,800 at 11% ownership. No one else above 10 after that. Schultz, Warren, Otten, then McBride. If you go to actual values, Gadsden and Bowers both rate out the best, followed by Colby Parkinson, although that is a complete crapshoot. Yes, Tyler Higbee's on injured reserve. Yes, Parkinson lit up the Buccaneers last week. This could be a game where the Rams run all over them, and they still run 3 other tight ends through their offense, that if it's just not Parkinson catching the touchdowns, it's Davis Allen, you're screwed all of a sudden. Schultz, then McBride. If McBride's actually going to be that lowly owned, that's probably where I would pay up over paying up for Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey, because you're still going to be able to use HAN as a part of your build here at $8,300 and then just find values elsewhere on this slate. Just Jacoby Brissett and McBride have just been paying off in huge dividends over the past few weeks. Quarterbacks, Herbert's looking like the highest owned. Yeah, Herbert, Stroud coming back only at $5,000. It's a very good price. Yeah, Tyrod's $4,300. I mean, that's the easiest way to lose money. Stack up the Jets. It's hilarious how cheap it is and what else you can get away with on this slate. Allen comes in as the third highest owned quarterback at 10%, then Darnold and Stafford 8 and 7%. If you're looking for actual relative values, Herbert and Tyrod are tied for first, followed very closely by CJ Stroud, a very lowly owned Tua, and Lawrence come right after that. Then it's Josh Allen. Just Josh Allen by himself is always kind of a nice play, but Tua rates out pretty well here. Even if you went Tua, Achane, Waddle, followed by Devin Neal on the other side, that's a pretty cheap lineup-ish, because, Waddle and Achane are pretty expensive, but Neal's not, and neither is Tua. They're both $5,000 and $4,900. That's a decent way if you wanted to get up to the McBrides of the world or another higher-end receiver. That's the way that you'd have to go without having to use Higgins or Tez Johnson or the Jets guys, if that's not the way that you wanted to go. Expect to see a lot of Stroud-Higgins stacks on the go as well. And with the other side, maybe it's Alec Pierce. Maybe that's the way that people jam in Jonathan Taylor, if that's the way they want to do it, just because CJ Stroud is at this discount price at the moment. Defenses for the week, let's see here. You got the 49ers as the highest owned. I don't love the 49ers or really the Browns even this week. Like, the Browns are a better value because they're cheaper at $3,000. But in a game where you don't expect a ton of throwing from either side, running just doesn't generate that many fantasy points. So keep that in mind. Low total, not a lot of passing attempts again. Like, they're a minus GPP value for probably good reason. They will project to be the highest owned at 12% at the moment. Seahawks 9%. Texans 8%. That's actually a much better play at $2,900. I like that one. Titans at 8%. The optimizer is going to spit them out because they're $2,200. Not a terrible play either. They return a touchdown with DK every single week. I have not bet on the Jags against the Titans, so it's probably they're going to get blown out because I bet against them every week. Then they got on a run of scoring defensive touchdowns. On the other side, you got the Jags, the Chargers at 4,000. Let's find out what the real values are here. Best value, Titans, Colts, Dolphins, Seahawks are your 4 best values on the board. If I was going down to the very bottom, Where would I go here? Vikings against the Seahawks, you could just have egg on your face in this situation, but Flores going against Darnold, who played for him last year, and knowing his tendencies could be a bonanza. Could be minus points, but it could be Sam throwing to the other team, even in Seattle. The Jets are probably actually where I would go. 6% ownership, only $2,400. Will McDonald is going to be a menace against Kirk Cousins in that game. Kirk Cousins might look really bad in this spot, outdoors, in the cold, against a defense that has seemingly got better since they got rid of their two best defenders, which makes absolutely no logical sense. But again, down Drake London, the offensive line has not been holding up as well. It just could be turnover city for Kirk Cousins there. So the Jets are my favorite pay down defense of the week. I hope this helped. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. If you need everything in cheat sheet form, that will be available in the Mayo Media newsletter, completely free to sub to. Hit that down in the description right now. All my rankings by position are updated, and injuries are updated on 4for4.com and my updated rankings as well. If you need the direct link to that, I gotcha. It's down in the description. I'll see you at 7:15 p.m. Eastern on Mayo Media Network, completely live. So smash the likes over to the channel, turn on those notifications before you get out of here, and rest up. We got football all day, okay? See you tomorrow.
Mayo experience! Experience!